You don't trust yourself enough. And when you get someone with a big ego challenging you, you feel threatened. And you show up like a victim, and then controllers will take over, basically.
Just to start, see if you can start to identify, okay, here's a client. Are they a doer? Are they more logical? Are they more emotional? You can start with that and help your team to go through that process. And just practicing that is going to build the muscle of, oh, this person tends to be more on the emotional side. Am I really doing a good job of connecting with them? Right? And I don't think, like, to start, you have to go much deeper than that.
No, I would keep it very, very simple. And I think the most important part here is to remember, ask your team to just do a quick collection of what are the most common complaints that you get from clients, and just do this exercise. Label those complaints as logical complaints or emotional complaints. And you'll understand what's the existing breakdown for your existing client roster. So you'll see, oh, we tend to attract 80% of our clients are logical or complain about logical things. 20% complain about more emotional things. So there are different levels of personalization. Archetypes is one of the tools you have to create that. Another one is understanding expectations, ability to be focused and do the right work with you. There are many things you can think about. So as a first level, instead of being a one-size-fits-all, which is the core of the introduction of this video, a one-size-fits-all would be all your clients are the same. We are all in agreement that they're not. So the second step is understanding if you wear a small, a medium, a large, or an extra large. Wow, I have 4 options, and each client can have their own option. Then another layer would be, cool, can I tailor it?
Welcome to the Ethical Scaling Podcast, your guide to navigating online business with integrity. Join Jay and Ben on this epic journey. Whether you're a seasoned pro or new to the game, get ready for insights, strategies, and a dash of humor. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your favorite spot, and get ready to deep dive into the art and science of ethical scaling. From client success to boosting lifetime value. Plus, learn how to turn clients into your best advocates. Ready to scale ethically? Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Ethical Scaling Podcast. And today what we're going to talk about is why you shouldn't treat all of your clients the same, all right? And, before we get into the details of that and the nitty-gritty, like, why is it important to treat your clients differently?
Shouldn't we treat them all the same? Are not all equals? That's the thing. It's so important to understand archetypes, because as you grow, you'll attract different people. And understanding who you're attracting and how to deal with them, it's going to make your process easier. Because you don't want your process to be a little bit more difficult than what it needs to be.
Right. Well, and diffusion of innovation could be something we talk a little bit about here too, right?
Yeah, like your offer, I know you want to be disruptive. So imagine you bring a new perspective, a new angle, or maybe something completely new to the marketplace. At the beginning, you're going to attract innovators, early adopters, and you tend to attract more, we'll talk about the archetypes, but let's call it more people like you. Problem solvers, go-getters, you're a business owner, so doers, basically what we call doers. And you can't just treat them the same way you would want to be treated, because they're very similar to you. And they don't want certainty. They want novelty. They want to be the first ones. They want to get access to the secret sauce before anyone else gets access to the secret sauce. And so if people want to think about an example, think about when there is a new iPhone. The ones that are waiting in line for hours to get an iPhone before all the others, while others could get it 2 days later without waiting, those are going to be the innovators, the early adopters, the ones that want to be the first getting access to novelty. Then you have the others that want to wait for a year to get the previous model from that iPhone because they want the certainty. They don't care about novelty. They want the certainty. They want to know it's worth it for them to make an investment, time, energy, money to get access to something. This is why over time, as you grow, as you stack testimonials, referrals, word of mouth, success stories, you will start to attract different kinds of archetypes. And that's when you understand like this has been working, and now that I'm scaling so fast, which you're probably not scaling but growing, that's another topic. Why is it not working anymore? That's the challenge you'll have. But this is also the opportunity for you to learn what the solution could be.
Yeah. Well, and that's when probably most of our clients come to us, is when they've crossed what we call the offer chasm. And now their fulfillment needs to be more shaped around certainty versus the novelty, right?
And this reminds me of one of the clients we work with. She actually started working with us to find a placement, a CSM. And she actually said in her testimonial that they were not working with everyone because they thought they could only serve, as an example here, for archetypes doers. But when she went through the book, our book, we could talk about it in a second, and she understood the concept of archetypes, she was like, wow, we could be serving more people, because now I understand why I wasn't serving more people, because I thought I could only serve people like me. But no, that's what worked at the beginning, but now we can do things differently. Yeah. Now I understand archetypes. I'm hiring a new client success manager that can understand archetypes and work with different clients. This will end up adding more clients to your portfolio.
Yeah. And I actually had a conversation with them, a meeting with them this week. And what we've been working on actually is implementation pathways, right? Because what happens is, in any offer, not everyone's going to be at the same starting point. And so when we talk about this experience of personalization, which ties into archetypes too, but personalization, you don't want to recreate your fulfillment for every client, right? But
because that doesn't give the certainty.
Right. But there's usually 2, maybe 3 scenarios of clients, like where they are in the journey. And then we can create those pathways that actually match where the client is and what they need. And we're not recreating the wheel every time, right?
So there are different levels of personalization. Archetypes is one of the tools you have to create that. Another one is understanding expectations, ability to be focused and do the right work with you. There are many things you can think about. So as a first level, instead of being a one-size-fits-all, which is the core of the introduction of this video, a one-size-fits-all would be all your clients are the same. Yeah. We are all in agreement that they're not. So the second step is understanding if you wear a small, a medium, a large, or an extra large. Wow, I have 4 options, and each client can have their own option. Then another layer would be, cool, can I tailor it? Can I adjust small things to make it even better? And that's how you can approach your offer over time. You go from having a one-size-fits-all, because you're always attracting the same type of individual, so one-size-fits-all, to now I'm attracting so many different people. I have a small, a medium, and a large option. And then I can go further when I understand the economics of scaling.
Right. Well, and so like opening it up, kind of, it gives you more access to more acquisition, right? But then the tailoring that you're talking about, that gives you better retention and upsell rates, right?
Because just going to a broader market without understanding the psychology of the broad market, it's going to be very challenging for you. And you might say, oh, this offer works, but not at scale. It does, but it's not the same way as it did before. And it's like, oh, could I have done it differently? No, it's just part of the process. Like every part of your business journey and growth and development, it will require more and different tools for you and your team. And even for team members, you might need to understand that your team members have different archetypes. And I think now everyone understands the why, and why archetypes can be one of the tools to create that feeling of a customized experience, or a tailored experience, or a personalized experience for clients. I think we can give our listeners some ideas, or at least explain a little bit better what the archetypes are.
Yeah. So we've got 4 archetypes, right? There's doers, controllers, followers, and warriors. Do you want to get into some of the nitty-gritty?
Let's first bucket them in 2 different buckets. So we have the more logical archetypes, doers and controllers, and we have the more emotional archetypes, warriors and followers. And when people ask me about archetypes, I don't believe archetypes are set in stone. So I think archetypes, and the way we see it and why it's so different from the concepts out there, we look at archetypes as being context-based. So I can have multiple archetypes in different parts of my life, and in different moments, I can have a different archetype. So I look at archetypes like a hat that your client is using at that specific moment in time. And why I like it is because I will stop judging people or allowing people to use archetypes as a crutch. And I look at archetypes like, oh, he's wearing that hat now, so this is the hat I need to wear to understand their communication style. And I can communicate effectively with my clients and even efficiently to deliver the core message I want to deliver.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's interesting, I'm just thinking about how you and I show up in a sales process, right? So in a sales process, you're more of a controller and I'm more of a follower actually. But once we make a commitment to work with someone, we tend to both be doers, right?
And I think why that happens and why it's important for people to understand, again, let's explain what we mean about doers, controllers. Let's go a little bit deeper. So when I say doers, we're talking about someone that has that confident humility. I trust myself, but I know I don't know everything. That's a doer. And because I show up like that, I will trust someone to give me the skills or the tools that I need in order for me to be successful. And I know that I have the work ethics to go out there and get it done. That's a doer. The difference between the doer and the controller is that the controller might think they know it better. So controllers will be the ones that are always challenging you. They have a big ego. Just think about people we work with. Being ethical scaling, we attract a lot of successful business owners. So it's totally okay and totally normal for them to have a big ego. No judgment there. And I do really well working with controllers because I respect them. But at the same time, I know everything related to fulfillment. I'm the expert, not them. And I show up like an expert with empathy, but I'm assertive when I need to be assertive. And I show them that whatever they need to know, they need to learn from me, and they need to get access to that information from me. I'm the shortcut. I'm the solution. I'm not the problem. And what you will see for some teams is that they get very uncomfortable working with controllers because they feel like they're the problem. And they need to overcome that psychology issue or what's in front of them. Why are you struggling with a controller? Most of the times is because you don't trust yourself enough as a client success manager or a client success rep or a coach or an account manager. You don't trust yourself enough. And when you get someone with a big ego challenging you, you feel threatened and you show up like a victim, and then controllers will take over, basically. I don't feel like that because I tell Ben this a lot of times. I trust what we do so much that I don't feel threatened. I'm here to do what's right, not to be right. And I want to do what's right for all clients. So when you think about archetypes, doers, go-getters, controllers are also go-getters. But if they don't trust you, they won't do what you want them to do. They will do what they want to do. And we need to find that common ground between allowing them not to feel trapped inside a box. So controllers need to feel in control, but at the same time, give them the guidance they need in order for them to feel in control with the right plan.
Yeah. Now, what about followers and warriors?
So the more emotional archetypes are slightly different because, again, no archetype is better than the other. It's just different. So when I think about a warrior, think about an overthinker. They think about so many options and so many solutions that can create some trouble for them. Why? Because they're stuck in their own head.
Yeah.
And they need someone to help them to translate ideas into actions and give them clarity and permission to only try to do one thing at a time. Because they have been trying to aim for so many things, they get nothing done. And that's the warrior. They need to first trust you, second, trust the process, third, trust themselves.
Yeah.
If you get those three levels of trust, they're going to be fine.
And if we look at, connecting with these archetypes, right? If we look at doers and controllers, to me, that confident humility is really important for them to connect to. And then clarity.
A lot of clarity,
right?
Logical clarity.
Yeah. But then on the followers and warriors, it's more like making them feel seen and heard. Like what else creates connection there?
We can look at the opposite. What's the friction for archetypes? So normally for controllers and doers, we're talking about logical friction. Something is confusing, out of sequence, it's incomplete. So maybe if you have a training portal, everything is kind of messy. that's a problem for doers and controllers, because there is a lot of logical friction, and because they're more logical, they cannot connect the dots.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about now, which is for followers and warriors, it's emotional friction. And emotional friction is more like, I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard, or you're asking me to do something that goes against my values, or there is a friction between my personal values and what you're asking me to do. So I always use this example. Imagine you have, I don't know, an SDR, setter, closer kind of offer, and you're working with an introvert, and they don't love calling or cold calling people. Yep. And your first request, you need to do cold emails, Facebook Messenger, cold calling. You're going to get a lot of emotional friction. And in your mind, it's like, isn't this obvious? It is, and they get it. They understand it. But from an emotional standpoint, based on the archetype they're now in their journey, it doesn't work well for them. Because either they're overthinking if they're a warrior, or they don't believe they can make it if they're a follower. Because we didn't spend as much time talking about followers. Followers are going to be the ones that they're nice, they're easy to connect with, but their challenge is not they don't trust you, but they don't trust themselves at all. They don't believe it. Maybe your sales and marketing process was really, really good to get them to believe. They said yes, they paid to work with you, but they actually don't believe they can get to that aspirational identity. And that's the challenge. If they cannot aim for more, if they cannot dream bigger, they're going to be in trouble, because any action is belief driven. Mm-hmm. If I don't believe it, will I take action? No. Yeah. I think it's the biggest challenge and the biggest takeaway. The way you will communicate with them, your approach, your system will be very similar. Yeah. But from a team standpoint, the team that is working with your clients, it will be very different.
Yeah. So, for the people that are listening, right? Archetypes, you can go really deep on archetypes. And look, it's great if you want to study the archetypes, go deep on that. But just to start, see if you can start to identify, okay, here's a client. Are they a doer? Are they more logical? Are they more emotional? You can start with that and help your team to go through that process. And just practicing that is going to build the muscle of, oh, this person tends to be more on the emotional side. Am I really doing a good job of connecting with them? Right. And I don't think to start, you have to go much deeper than that.
No, I would keep it very, very simple. And I think the most important part here is to remember, ask your team to just do a quick collection of what are the most common complaints that you get from clients, and just do this exercise. Label those complaints as logical complaints or emotional complaints. Mm-hmm. And you'll understand what's the existing breakdown for your existing client roster. So you'll see, we tend to attract 80% of our clients are logical or complain about logical things. 20% complain about more emotional things. Cool. So I'm probably working with 80% of my clients being or coming from a place, they're not controllers, but they have more tendencies to be either controllers or doers. That will give you direction on how you can start training your team on those specific archetypes. Instead of trying to train them on everything, just start small, make those small, tiny improvements, and you'll see a massive difference. Just your awareness about what we covered today, I think, can totally transform how your team is leading your clients to success.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's all we've got for today. We'll see you next time.